One more race in store then tonight for the Group C before we go to the final round next time out next Thursday. We've had, unsurprisingly, 2 Nissan victories and Nissan's blocking out the podiums in both race 1 and race 2 today. So don't expect anything else in this one, but we might have a different order if we're lucky. And we've got Dom on pole position in the Mercedes. He's had some fairly averagey races today, but that's not really his fault, that's more just to do with the car. Chrysler alongside with his newfound wheel, and DTI Dave returning and he starts third on the grid. We watch the guys off the line. Dom doesn't make the best start, Chrysler makes the best start, and he's going to take, one of the Nissans has been rear-ended in the background. It's Lee, championship leader Lee taken out, and there's contact between Chrysler and Dom. There's cars all over the place, and DTI Dave runs into the back of Oz. One of the other Nissans gets turned over. DTI Dave has met his karma and he's been turned around himself. There's cars all over the place. This is going to make for quite a topsy-turvy order. In the background we've got Coops involved as well. DTI Dave, 2 of the fastest guys are going to be at the back, but there was a lot of contact between a lot of people there, and it wasn't the smartest race start I've seen. But anyway, Dom's going to pull it all together. So safety car situation with Dom leading Chrysler in second place. Chrysler and Dom having that very energetic ding dong down into turn 1 on the first lap. I think all the cars have been picked up. DTI Dave just coming into shot, so he's just joining up to the back of the pack. And Dom leads him round. And we just wait to see where we're going to restart. I'm not sure if we're doing a whole lap or whether we'll get going at the next sector line. I'm sure we'll work it out fairly soon. So just time to review the order. Dom, Chrysler, Oz are the top 3 ahead of Coops, Andy, Dukes, Mark, Lee and Dubs, the top 9, and DTI Dave rounds them out. Dom restarts, goes away really quickly. Look how quickly he gets away from Chrysler, because there's no straight line speed in that Jaguar. Immediately Oz goes for the pounce, and he's got 3 Nissans all battling, pushing each other. They were 3 abreast, and there was no room for any of them. They were all ganging up on the back of Oz's car, and there was nowhere for them to go. And there's contact coming down the straight. Oz, there's contact! Big contact. Chrysler gets punted off, but that's because they just didn't realise where each other were. The Mercedes goes into the Jag gets speared off. Andy was involved in that too, partially. Not portioning blame, but he was part of the battle. And Andy up to 3rd place. He's actually the lead Nissan, and he's already got up to 2nd because he cuts inside Oz's Mercedes at the final turn. If he can hold this down into turn 1, which he will undoubtedly do because the braking is so much better, he says that, Oz has managed to get back ahead using the power of Mercedes. So that's an interesting little tussle going on. Clearly Oz has got a decent amount of boost set up on the Mercedes. Andy's control all the way around the outside, and I think he's going to do it. That's a great move from Andy. Oz did everything he could, but that was to no avail, unfortunately. Lee has been back down all the way to 9th, let's just bear in mind. So championship leader down in 9th, and you've got a situation where Mark is now up to 4th, so he's going to try and pull a few points back as Andy's taken Dom for the race lead. So Andy into the lead in the Nissan. He needs to drive this one so sensibly because he can win this one now. The nearest contender is Mark, and he's in 3rd place. He's still got another car to pass in the form of Dom, and Mark is a couple of seconds down. So Andy could well take a victory here, and that would be really good to see. Even though it's going to be another bloody Nissan, it might as well be a different Nissan winning. Coops has recovered to 5th. So Dom and Oz doing really well in 2nd and 4th at the moment. Should mention that in their respective Mercedes cars. Lee's recovering well into 6th. Dudes is 7th at the moment. Dubs is 8th, and Chrysler 9th in their respective Jaguars. and DTI Dave, I mean, he did join late, so he's not had any practice, but he's joined in this Nissan and he's struggling at the back at the moment. I'm not sure if there's been more contact or what, but he is not really in the race at the moment, unfortunately, as Andy streaks away. Now Mark has got up to second. He got ahead of Dom pretty swiftly, very swiftly. In fact, all of the Nissans, Coops and Lee are already on the back of Oz. But my point was going to be, Mark obviously is actually catching as we see Coops and Lee go side by side, these two battling out for the championship and battling it out on track, and Coops just about holds ahead of Lee, or does he? No, because Lee's car set up with some good straight line speed, actually manages to get ahead, but they're only going to get stuffed up behind those pesky Mercedes cars. Oh, I think Lee didn't realise Coops was still there. Coops was very much still there, and I wouldn't portion blame to Coops, but I don't think Lee saw him there, and that ends up with Lee going off, and what a topsy-turvy order. And there was Dom getting shuffled down the battle pack as well. Dom's down to 7th. Bit unfortunate for him there. Dukes has come out of this quite well. He's up to 5th place. But my point was going to be how close Mark really was to Andy, just about 3 seconds. But actually, Andy's doing such a good job at this early stage. He's actually pulling a larger gap over Mark's car, he says, as the gap actually narrows again down to 3 seconds. So it's ebbing and flowing. But if Andy can just keep it together, he can't lose too much time, otherwise Mark will take another victory today. But Coops is up to 3rd. He's some way behind Mark, so it's a long shot for Coops to catch up with Mark. But Mark's not always enjoyed these cars this season. Coops has relished them, so there may be an opportunity for Coops to catch up if Mark makes a mistake. But I wouldn't put it past Mark getting a really good result in this. He was excellent in the second race. Pretty excellent in the first race, to be honest, after the first lap or two of incidents. Scything his way back through the field. Dukes and Oz are very close on track, and Lee. So Lee is recovering, he's in 6th at the moment. I can tell you Chrysler and DTI Dave are still circulating 9th and 10th respectively at the moment. Oh, Dukes runs in the back of another car and he's off. He's beached in the gravel. That's going to be a long, long way out of there. Lee capitalises up to 5th and he's right on the tail of Oz now, so he's probably going to be through and up to 4th by the end of this lap. Look how close he is already as we go on board with the Nissan heading down the hill. It's the brakes and the cornering where these cars particularly shine, and look at that. Look, just manages to stop that car so brilliantly, and that enables him to be so close. But Oz has got his car set up for such good straight line speed. Lee goes for a really, really daring move. It was brave, almost ended up being stupid, but it was in the end a very brave and a very good move from Lee. Look how quick Oz is down the straight. He's not going to have an opportunity there for sure, because the brakes are just not there on the Mercedes. He does get it stopped. Lee continues in 3rd, in 4th place. Oz demoted down to 5th. But I would say that Oz has put on a pretty damn good show today in the Mercedes. Had little or no practice at this circuit, but he's put on a good show for the Mercedes team. Ahead of Dom and Dubs at the moment. So Dubs actually also putting in quite a good show here, trying to battle with one of the Mercedes. The Mercedes isn't a great car, but the Jaguar is absolutely appalling. So to see Dubs on the back of Dom quite this way is impressive. I can tell you out in front, Andy's actually pulling a larger gap over Mark. This is a really, really good bit of driving from Andy, and actually he was very quick in practice. I just don't want to jinx the man because he's got a whole lap and a bit lap and a half left to run, and it's so easy to throw it all the way in these cars. They are on a knife edge. As you can see, 4 seconds up the road at the moment, 4.5 seconds. You can just see Mark's Nissan in the background, and then Coops is not too far behind that. Isn't that surprising? Coops is actually closer to Mark than Mark is to Andy. Coops was a long way back, but he just has got such a knack with these cars, and I'm not taking that away from Mark because he's also pretty special in these, but Coops is something else. He really is on his own level a lot of the time, and he's just closing. I tell you though, Andy's made a mistake though, because there's only a second and a half between these guys. I missed what happened to Andy, but now Mark is going to sniff blood, and Coops is just not far behind. I was watching Coops to see if Coops might have that opportunity to snatch second place away from Mark, but it's actually Andy we've got to worry about, and with a Mark might be able to catch and pass him for the win. These three really closing up on this final lap. Andy needs to be ever so gentle and hold this together. No track limits penalties, boys. I think Mark must have gone through the gravel a little bit, but not anything too drastic. But that's going to give Coops a little opportunity to close just a little bit more. Further back, I think DTI Dave is actually DNF'd, unfortunately. But we've got Dukes and Dom there. But I think we've got to watch for the race leaders. Andy, you've got a couple more corners to go, mate. Take it slow, take it gentle, get the win. He comes out the final chicane. He's got one corner left to do it. And Coops is looking hungry over second place, but I don't think he's quite going to do it. As they come out of the final turn, he goes for a better exit. It's not going to be possible, but Andy wins in Nurburgring here in Germany. Andy wins. Great victory from Andy. That was a great drive. Mark does hold on to second. A great bit of driving, and Coops was superb as well to the end. Lee crosses the line in a slightly anonymous 4th place, but got tangled up in a lot of incidents, not necessarily of his own doing, and but does bring home the 4th Nissan in the top 4 positions. Oz is 5th, Dom is going to be 6th, so the 2 Mercedes guys having a good run again. But it's 3 Mercedes because Dukes is pushing him to the line but doesn't quite do it. Dukes has not had a particularly great event today. The speed he showed in practice was so promising, but wasn't to be. Dubs finishes 8th, and Chrysler is coming into the final turn and will round out the finishes once more.